You want to see the rarest weapon I own? This is the Zodiac Hammer, a marvelous weapon, and a reference to the Guild Wars 1 weapons of the same name. Okay, now obviously that's not true. This hammer is actually really common. But of course now we have to explore that topic. What are the rarest weapons in Guild Wars 2? Before we dive into these, a few notes to just be aware of first. Most rare does not necessarily mean highest market value. Some of these are rare because they are locked behind achievements. Some have a really low drop rate, some of them take a very long time to craft, and some of them are considered rare simply based off the Guild Wars 2 efficiency player unlock statistics. Starting things off with one of my favorites, the Fiery Dragon Sword. I used to see people ask about this sword all the time. The sword is styled after a fire-breathing dragon, similar to the legendary swords from the game lore, Magdir and Sohathan. The only way to get the sword now is to play Guild Wars 1 and accumulate Hall of Monuments reward points. But that's not a simple task. Let me explain. When Guild Wars 2 was originally announced, they created a reward track for players who were still playing Guild Wars 1, and you would advance through the track by completing achievements and collecting rare items. And the track would unlock unique items and titles for you to use in Guild Wars 2. And the Fiery Dragon Sword was one of those items that was available in this reward track. As far as I know, I believe you still can complete the reward track and unlock the items. But like I said, you can only do so by playing Guild Wars 1, and you need access to the Eye of the North expansion. There are other weapon skins available in the reward track that could also count as really rare, but I'm only going to include the Fiery Dragon Sword because I think it's the most popular and best looking of all of them. And a fun fact about this weapon, it is considered the brightest light source that a player can wield. The highly sought after Ghastly Grinning Shield. Pretty obvious why it's highly sought after. It looks awesome. It's got the whole spooky black flames look, and the face that's on it is animated as well. Very spooky indeed. Historically, you used to be able to get this from Black Lion chests or during Halloween, from either a Mad King's chest, which had a very low chance to drop it, or by being lucky enough to win it from the raffle from Collector Turksely, which was also super rare. Now today there's only 2 ways to get it. Well, technically 3 if you're willing to pay the insane market listing prices. Number 1, it has an extremely low drop chance from the Mystic Forge, or you can get it to drop from a vintage Black Lion weapon box. But seeing as there's a possible 862 weapons in that box, I'd say the chances of getting it is pretty slim to none. So because of that, it will likely remain as one of the most sought after weapons. Okay, now for those of you who are active in challenge mode fractals, you might know about this next one. Last Words. I believe it is currently the lowest unlocked weapon by the player base. According to Guild Wars 2 efficiency, only 0.025% of the player base has unlocked this weapon. Now, part of the reason it is so rare is because it's bugged. You can get this axe as a very rare drop after completing the Silent Surf Fractals challenge mode, or you can just buy it after completing Silent Surf challenge mode 25 times. However, it is the buy option that's bugged. Many players have reported that even after 25 completions, they still can't buy it. And this is a well-known bug. I'm pretty sure right now at the time of recording this video, it is still bugged. So I think it's safe to say that if you have this axe, you currently have the rarest weapon in the game. Now, staying with the topic of player unlock stats, I have to include the Jade Punk weapon set. This one really surprised me. Upon looking through the player unlock stats, it seems that this weapon set has a very low unlock rate. It seems all of them are around 0.08% or lower, and some of them even lower, around 0.04%. And they aren't even that hard to get. You can craft them all yourself just by buying the recipe. But I have a theory as to why they might be so rare. The recipes each cost 150 research notes, and then you also need an Ascended Dragon inscription to craft them. And not to mention the skins are kind of lame, they're nothing special. So I think being not a very exciting skin and the fact that there are better things to spend research notes on probably causes a lot of players to not really care about crafting these. Well, at least that's my whole take on it. Now really quickly, I can mention a few other weapon sets that stats-wise seem to be very rare as well, such as the Mordremoth and Zaitan legendary weapon sets, and also the Mistforged Obsidian weapon set seems to have a very low unlock rate also. Not necessarily the entire set, but but certain weapons within the sets. The aetherized RGB weapons, but not in their original form. You can acquire the original forms by completing the old Lion's Court Strike mission, or you can just buy them for gold and profit shards. But for each of these weapons, you can also change the color. And the changed color variant is what's more rare. Color changing is just done in the Mystic Forge, which sounds easy enough. However, you can only change the color one time per weapon. So let's say you've got the hammer, which starts out as red, and you want to change it to blue. Great. Now you have the red hammer and you have the blue hammer unlocked. But if you want the green hammer, now you have to get a second red hammer to do so. So considering that might be why these are so rare. People just don't seem that interested in changing to get all the colors. Now finally, to end, I'd like to mention some weapons that are relatively cheap, but also statistically very rare. So if you're short on gold, but you want a weapon skin that hardly anyone else has, these might pique your interest. You can get all of them from the Mystic Forge by using an ectoplasmic stone and 3 exotic weapons. Or you could just buy them off the trading post. Like I said, they're relatively cheap. First off is Shark Bait, a spear at only 0.626% unlocked. This one's kind of cool. It's just a floppy little fish on the end of a spear, but kind of fun, a little silly. There is Battle Worn, a shield at 0.616% unlocked. This one's a pretty modest design. It would probably go well with more of a realistic styled outfit, so if that's the kind of style you go for, you might like this one. Valkion is a really cool looking sword at only 0.609% unlocked. I actually really like this one. It's a surprisingly clean design. It almost looks like something out of the gem store. All they would have to do is just add a slight blade trail effect to this one, and they could charge 800 gems for it. Sunder is an axe with 0.598% unlocked. Shares the same model as another axe, Dreadwing, although Sunder has a little glow outline on the blade. And finally, Scryer's Circle, a staff at 0.586%. This is another really cool one with a really clean design. It's got that ball of energy up top, so you've got some animation going on in this skin as well. There's a few more rare weapons in this Mystic Forge category, but I just picked a few of my favorites. Each of them are not too expensive, so like I said, if you want a really rare skin but you don't want to work for it at all, go check these out. You know what? After looking at all of these really rare weapons, I've noticed something. I really wish they would add more cool looking weapons that you can only earn through playing the game. All other MMOs seem to do that really well, but not so much Guild Wars 2 anymore. Now, I understand ArenaNet has sort of gone all in on the gem store because it is profitable. But even still, I wish they would do it from time to time. Just add in a few. Oh, and one more thing before anyone says it. I understand that Guild Wars 2 efficiency on lock stats isn't necessarily the best representation of the player base, but I have to go based off of some sort of game stats, and it seems like Guild Wars 2 efficiency is the best we have. Anyways, that's going to be all for now. I hope you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, and let me know if you have any of these weapons, or maybe now you plan to unlock some of them.